Hello everybody, it's Shannon back with another tutorial. I also wanted to let everybody know I have picked the first winner of the giveaway on the segmented wrap bracelet. It is posted in the shorts on the channel if you want to find out who that is, and if that person can contact me at beadsandbabble@gmail.com. I'd appreciate it. I also sent them, or I should say I left a message in the comments for them to contact me. Today we're going to do a pair of earrings. We're going to make the matching one to this particular earring. This is a fun little easy pattern that you can do, containing the ladder stitch with fringe. I should say connected fringe, almost scalloped, I should say. And then this is another pair I did using gold accents. These are done with a combination of size 2 bugle beads, size 11/aught seed beads, and some 3mm fire polished beads. Now, I do have the components, these triangle components. They have a brass base with a bright silver finish or a bright gold finish. They are in the store, 20 components for $1.99, and that is the stock number. If you want to input that in the Etsy search in my shop, it'll pull these up without you having to search through everything if you're interested. I'll put those to the side. So for this particular set, we're going to use the same size bugle beads, which is size 2. We're going to use the same size seed beads, which is 11/aught. And then for a different thing, an element, we're going to use 3mm bicone beads. And these are just a glass bead. They're not crystal or anything. You could use 3mm crystal bicones as well, or any bicone 3mm. You can also change these beads out. It will change the count on the beads, but it's very easy to adjust that. And I will show you that when I get into this. So I have the tools necessary to begin this tutorial. You're going to need some beading needles, probably a size 11 beading needle that will fit through the smallest bead, which is the 11/aught, several times with the thread. So you have to get the right beading needle. I'm going to be using KO beading thread, which is a favorite of mine. This is just 100% nylon beading thread, Japanese beading thread. It is a little pricey, but I love it because it doesn't knot as bad as other nylon beading threads that I have used in the past. I find this one is very pleasant to work with in the sense that it does not knot or fray very easily at all. I have not worked with all of them, but I've worked with many different threads over the years, and I like this one, and to me it's worth a little extra price, and you get quite a bit. And I mean, this will last you for a while, unless you're doing some loom work or something like that where you go through a lot of thread. Also, you can pick out any color 11/aught seed bead you want. You won't need a ton of them. You can even pick out a combination of colors of 11/aught. You can also pick out a particular 3mm glass bead that you like, or crystal, work just fine. And size 2 bugle beads, which are like these tube-like beads. And that will be it for as for the beads. Then you'll need a component. This component itself, the measurements are 27 by 23.5 by 0.8 millimeters thick. Those are millimeter sizes as well. And if you look them up in my store on Etsy, it gives you the measurements as well. That's the particular component I'm using. But of course, you can experiment on your own and with other ones. I'm going to show you the technique in order to put the beads on the component, and then you can take it from there and really, all right, I'm going to move my coffee cup over to the other side. Whatever you want to do. You're going to need a thread burner. Not necessary, but they're very handy. You can instead just clip with some clippers the thread for ending the thread. You're going to need a couple pliers. They can be needle nose, flat nose. This is just for opening the jump ring. And you probably get away with just one, I think, because I was thinking I was going to add a jump ring, but one pair of pliers will be just fine. This is my beading needle. This is my size 11 sharp with the long. There's short ones too that are about half that size. Long is going to be handy for this particular tutorial. I'm going to move that to the side. Okay. And as for the thread, the length of thread, this doesn't take much at all. About 1.5 yards of thread from your spool. I do a rough measurement from my arm span. Usually what I do. And then I'm going to thread my needle. Any other time I can get this like real quick in there, unless I'm filming, and then it's like, let's be difficult. There we go. And just leave yourself a little bit of a tail there. Then I'm going to grab the triangle component. I'm also going to grab this other, and I'm going to bring you guys in closer once I get this tied off. But you're going to take the other end, not attached to the needle, and you're going to tie an overhand knot here. Get it pretty tight. You're going to leave yourself a tail, I don't know, 6 to 7 inches long. And then I usually go around twice. This is more like a surgeon's knot. This gives a good tight grip on the metal there. Just a knot simply tied onto one side. Since this is a triangle, it's not going to matter. And I'm sorry for the condition of my hands. I had a little bit of a disagreement with a picture frame that I was working with to put my grandkids' picture in, and the glass literally sliced me. But I have to leave it open to air so it'll heal. So sorry for that. I'm always doing something. Gets me in trouble. All right. I'm going to pour out some beads that I'm going to be using. So these are the bugle beads. You don't need very many at all. Matter of fact, you only need 14 bugle beads per earring. Pour out some of the bicones here, 3mm bicones. And of course, some of the all-important 11-aught seed beads. These, I believe, are a Toho seed bead. It's a Japanese seed bead. It's kind of got, I don't know, it's definitely a matte finish. It's almost like a gunmetal matte finish. Hi, we're going to start with the ladder stitch with the bugle beads. I'll bring you in a little closer so you can see what I'm doing here. I do have another tutorial where I use the ladder stitch on my YouTube channel. I usually grab this tail and hold it while I'm doing this particular part of it. So you're going to grab 2 of the bugle beads, just like that. Thread them down so you get them close to the component. And I go through the back side of the component. So I'm through the back side, the thread is over that, and I'm going to go back down through the last bugle bead on the thread. It's going to leave, I'll show you when it gets a little bit less thread in there. It's going to leave, see that loop there? And it's going to pull these together and start your ladder. Now on the ends, we're going to, just bringing them together here. We're going to go now back through the bottom of the second bugle bead. This will really bring them together. Oops. And it is going to move a little bit, but it will settle in here. And then I'm going to go back through the first bead, top side, or excuse me, the last bead. This is just reinforcing this first set here. See how it pulls them together. And then I'm going to go once more through the bottom of the first bugle. This is just reinforcing the end ones here. Giving this a good tug. And then back through the second one. This is why the needle is so important, that it's the right size, because you're going to be making multi-passes through. So now you have multiple passes through these first 2 that are securing them to the component. And then you're going to pick up, now that you're coming out of the last bugle bead, you're going to pick up another one. And also be careful with your bugle beads. Some of them have jagged edges and maybe chipped or something, so select wisely when you're picking these up. Just bringing the bugle in close to the component, and then I'm going to go through the back side of the triangle component here, and then through the top of that bugle bead that I picked up. So you're getting that loop. It's going to bring that, it's going to suck that bugle bead into the other ones. Just move it on over. My fat finger's getting in the way, sorry. And you do not have to go through, you won't be going through this one multiple times, just the first 2 and for right now. Then you're going to grab another bugle bead, and you're going to continue until you have 14 bugle beads laddered across this triangle. It's going to be at the beginning. You can do this all at one time too. Through, I kind of use my fingers to hold the bead from going over the top. So I could bring you in closer too if you need. Pull it up. The frame gets smaller. Another one. Probably better if you just do this one by one. That way the thread, it doesn't get in the way. And I just use my fingers to hold that bead as I come through the back side of the triangle. And once I get the thread mostly through, I'll drop the bead. And then come back through the bottom. Funny when I'm doing this, without videoing, I can, choop, choop, choop. It's, really quick, but shoot, when I'm videoing, I'm telling you what, I'm trying to make sure I'm still in frame, and then I'm missing holes. Slide that bead down the thread, needle up through the back side of the triangle, dropping the bead, taking the needle and going through the top side. Getting that loop that's going to pull that into the next to the others. Just repeating this step. I'm hoping I'm getting a good angle for you guys that are just learning this. This is not really, once you get the hang of it, it's really simple stitch to learn and can be used on so many things. And then I'm just pulling it taut so it sucks in against the other bugle beads. You count how many I got there. 2, 4, 6, 8. Keep going. Yep, that's it. That's a bad one. I'll show you what I'm talking about. See that? Throw those away. Those you can't save. And I try, and especially if you're using them on thread, you do not want those sharp, jagged edges. More likely your thread will end up breaking from being sawed, basically, by it. Picking up. I hope everybody is enjoying their week. Mine's been eventful. Other than slicing my skin with glass from a picture frame, of all things, man. It was so sharp. I couldn't believe it. Printing off pictures of my grandchildren to frame them all their current school pictures, and was cleaning the frame where I put the picture in, and I grazed up against the edge of that glass, and it got me. 11, 15, double checking myself. And this is the same step every time. And once you've done it a couple times, it'll become like second nature. And starting off with a component that is this size, about a little bit bigger than a quarter, is really good because it doesn't take that many bugle beads to do the ladder stitch. You could also, I think in my other video, I used seed beads, regular seed beads, to make the ladder. I like to use my needle. 2, 4, 6, 8, 12, 13, one more. And it just so happens that 14 of these bugle beads across this component works out beautifully. You can also, like I said, use seed beads to do this. All kinds of beads, really, as long as they work out. All right, so that's what this will straighten up to once I come back to the end, you'll see. But just pulling it tight, and then that's your ladder row of bugle beads. Now your last one will be attached here, and your thread will be coming out the bottom of the last bugle bead. This is where you're going to pick up your seed beads. So you're going to pick up 15 of these 11-aught seed beads. This is going to be the first scalloped fringe. Very well, I count. And I usually double count too as I slide them down. And 15, and then a bicone. And then 15 more. More, and that'll complete the 15. And then how I came to this measurement was I literally took my component down, laid it down, and decided what size of a scallop I wanted by trial and error, basically putting on how many seed beads. Like I would strung this half first and figured out, okay, and if I wanted it even further down, I would have looped this thread, added some more until I got to the center point of the seventh bugle bead, and kind of figured that out, and then I would add my middle bead. And you don't even have to add this if you wanted to. You could just do seed beads and not even worry about it, and that might be a good way for a beginner to start, is just to select one size of seed beads. And you can do different colors, so you could do all 11 aught seed beads and then do like a different color for each particular scallop. And that way you don't have to worry about the placement of these bigger beads so they nestle correctly. I just wanted a little bit of sparkle, so I did it, and I liked this particular size of a scalloped. And I'm just reaching for my measuring ruler here to let you know how long this is. So it's about 1.75 inches. That's from the top of the triangle to the bottom of the longest scalloped fringe, including the ear wire. It's about 2 inches. So I thought that was a nice length for an earring. And these are very nice in weight. They're not overly heavy. Probably won't even notice they're there, to be honest, after you've been wearing them for a while. All right, so now that we have our first scalloped fringe beads threaded on, we're going to now loop on over to the first bugle bead that we put on the component. And we're going to go up through it, and it's going to stay in front of the component too. And we're going to bring it up until it forms that scallop there. And then we're going to come back down the second bugle bead. This is where this thread will tighten up those first two. And then now that we went up through the first one, down through the second one, and then we're going to go back up through the first one. I'm doing this is just a security for this row, and then I'm going to go now back down the second bugle bead with the needle. And I'm going to pull that in tight. And just snug, because you want the fringe to move. You don't want, of course, any gaps or anything like that with the thread showing, but you don't want to yank on it so hard that it risks breaking, and it also makes the fringe stiff. So now we have the thread coming out of the bottom of the second bugle. Now for this series of beads, we're going to thread on 10 11/0 seed beads. and 1 3mm bicone, then 2 11-aught seed beads, 1 3mm bicone, and another 10 11-aught seed beads. Just double check that you have 10 on there. So it's going to look that, and then we're going to come all the way over to the opposite side and come through the second bugle bead in from the far side, and bringing that needle through and then slowly pulling the thread on through, and then it'll nestle in there like such. And then we're going to go back through, or shoot through the top side of the third bugle bead and out through the bottom, pulling that thread snug. And then we're going to thread on our third scalloped row, which is going to be 9 of the 11-aught seed beads, a bicone, ooh, these holes are hard to see with these clear ones. And then another 9 of 11-aught seed beads. I'll bring those down so you guys can see that. I mean, it's kind of threading these on. I'll break them down. So it's going to look like that. And then now we're going to go all the way across to the third bugle bead in and come up through the bottom and out through the top. We bring that in snug. And then we're going to go down through the top side and out the bottom of the fourth bugle bead in. Pulling snug. And then now for the fourth one, we're going to do 5 of the 11-aught. Hold this down so you guys can see. 5, and then a bicone, another 11-aught seed bead, another bicone, and another 5 of the 11-aught seed beads. Double checking my counts, bringing those seed beads on down, coming over and going through the bottom of the fourth bugle bead on the opposite side. Nestles in there, and then going back down the top of the fifth and out through the bottom and getting ready to put on the fifth and final scalloped fringe. We're going to pick up 3 of the 11-aught seed beads, 1 bicone, and 3 more of the 11-aught seed beads. And then we're going to go over to the fifth bugle bead, come up through the bottom and out through the top. Get that nestled in there. And so you should have your scalloped fringe all sewn on. Now we're going to work this thread towards this tail here for the closure. So what we're going to do is we're going to go down through the 4th bugle bead, up through the 3rd from the bottom. And when you're using a needle, it's really good habit to get into staying against the bead. So I usually try to scrape my needle alongside so I'm not passing the needle through the already existing thread that's through the hole. Just risk the chance of fraying or slicing through it. So it's a good habit to get, once you get the tip of the needle in there, to kind of push up towards the side of the bead. And then now I'm going down through the 2nd bugle bead there. And also I'm not going over the component either. So this thread's coming out of the 2nd bugle bead. I'm going to put it through the bottom of the last and up through. And now both threads, the tail end that we tied on and the sewing end, are together now. And we're going to tie another overhand knot. This isn't necessary, but it doesn't hurt either, since it is fringe. You're just tying an overhand knot. Tying it snug there. So, and now you're going to pass, we're going to hide this tail and trim it off. So we have it coming at this out of the top of the last. We're going to go in front of the triangle component there, down through the top of the 2nd bugle bead, and out through the bottom. You get some friction now because you've went through this bead several times with thread, but it still will go through. And then now you have the thread out the bottom of the 2nd bugle, and you're going to go up through the bottom of the 3rd bugle, tug down. Your thread's coming out of the top of the 3rd bugle, and you're going to go down through the 4th bugle and coming out the bottom. This will be the last one. We'll be going up through the bottom of the 5th and out through the top of it with the thread. And this is where we're going to end up burning off the thread here with the thread burner. Just be careful when you're doing this that you don't get any of the thread that you don't want. So what I recommend you do is hold on to the thread that you're going to burn off the end of. This is the working thread, the one with the needle. And then pull it up away from the beadwork, and you do not have to get close into the beadwork. Just keep a few millimeters above, because this is really hot and it'll come down. That way you don't risk the chance of burning what you don't want. And then you do the same thing over here. So pull it pretty tight and then just come in and slice. If you have a little bit more than you want, now is a good time that you can take, be careful with these thread burners. They're very hot, and you can just melt anything that's sticking up and it'll melt it down. Just be careful that you don't make contact with the other threads. Always put the lid right back on the thread burner, and you can see this was a little longer thread than I actually needed. So I've got a good 2.5 feet left. So you might be able to get away with just a yard of, back out of here. So a little bit, oops. And so you'll end up with this, and those thread and everything and the knots tuck right in nicely. So you don't see them. Very secure little earring you have. Neat little swing to it. All right, and then it's simple as adding your earring on to the back of, or onto it. This is our preformed. You can make your own. I do have a short about how to make a perfect pair. I may have one on the channel too. So I'm just going to open this to the side real quick, and I'm going to slip it on because it's going to be facing correctly. The earring is going to be facing forward, and then I'm just going to close it back up with the side-to-side motion. Get that straight. And there you have your completed earring. Now you'll do the exact same thing for the second one. So you'll end up with some really cute little fringe earrings that are very lightweight and comfortable to wear. You can make all different patterns using a variety of beads. And like I said, you don't necessarily have to use bugle beads up there. You can use regular seed beads for your ladders. You can, do a combination of 3, to stack there, but you would have to put 6 on. Whatever, to start your first one, you have to double it like we did the first 2 bugle beads so you can get your row started. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I do read all the comments and check them regularly. You can also email me at beadsandbabble@gmail.com. I've had that email forever. I think I'm going to make another one specifically devoted to this channel. I just haven't done it yet. And like I said, if you're interested in buying the components, here they are again with the inventory numbers that you can look them up with. And if you like this video, I appreciate a thumbs up. And if you're enjoying this channel, I'm more than happy to have you as a subscriber. And until the next one, I'll be seeing you.